You just
Mhm.
mentioned about how is it being viewed in US and might be viewed in US. I just want to ask you what is expected from them now, because earlier we saw West was very uncomfortable with this visit. How are they going to react now, and what does it say about the relationship between West and India, particularly US, if we talk about US and India?
So, I'm in New Delhi now. I've been here the last few days, and I've seen, firsthand just how special this relationship is between India and Russia, and also the personal relationship between the two leaders. And there have been signs all over the city with Putin's likeness welcoming him, and so on. And I think that some in the West have sought to promote the isolation of Russia. It was never a goal that was going to work. Russia is much too powerful a global player for that to happen. And we've seen, in recent years, Russia was able to convene a large number of countries to come to Russia for a BRIC summit. Russia has friends. It has quite a few friends in the global South, in the Middle East, of course, in India. And, I think that if nothing else, this summit was the latest reminder to the West that Russia cannot be isolated, and it can count. Two of the most critical global players are close to Russia, India, and of course to the consternation of India, China has also become increasingly close to Russia since the war in Ukraine. But I think that after the summit, it'll all come back to what I said before, that the West could look at this summit as something that could be seen as a way to move the needle forward with the peace process. If Modi was able to deliver an important message to Putin about needing to end the war, but at the same time, if the West goes in the other direction and looks at this as another case of India trying to strengthen Russia and to try to bolster Russia by offering more support and cooperation, that's not going to work out very well in terms of how the West perceives what India is doing. But at the end of the day, this is not going to change India's close partnerships with countries in the West. I don't think that's going to be the case at all. And one of the big priorities, of course, moving forward for India's foreign policy is to get a trade deal with the EU. And of course, the Europeans have been very critical of Putin and his war in Ukraine, and are unhappy with India's relationship with Russia. But the Europeans want to work with India. That's very clear. And even in the U.S., for all we can talk about the tensions in U.S.-India relations, we've discussed these before. I think that in Washington there is a desire to continue to work with India, despite everything that's going on, and despite this visit by Putin.